Well, one of the key points the Australian Foreign Minister was expected to make to his Sri Lankan counterpart this evening is that Sri Lanka needs to make the resettlement of displaced civilians a priority. The UN agrees, saying more needs to be done as conditions in Sri Lankan detention centres are rapidly deteriorating. The issue has also captured the attention of the United States, which is calling for the 160,000 Tamils being detained to be set free. The Sri Lankan government says the Tamils are being held for their own safety, claiming landmines in their homelands need to be cleared before they're allowed back. Reporter Steve Kinane has spoken to an aid worker and a displaced Tamil man who both spent time in the camps, and they've requested anonymity.
After over 25 years of violence, the civil war between the Tamil Tigers and the Sri Lankan army finally ended in May this year. But the misery has continued for the 300,000 Tamils displaced as a result of the war's final battles. They ended up in camps like these, set up by the government to screen the civilian population for Tamil Tiger fighters. Gobi, as he wants to be known, spent 8 days inside the camp at Manik Farm earlier this year.
In the block we had 3 children died and 2 elderly gentlemen, one was a lady, one was a woman, and one man, old man, he hanged himself one night because he couldn't bear the sufferings of the people. This, I personally saw that.
Gobi wants to remain anonymous for fear of repercussions against family members still in the camps. He says the sanitation conditions are appalling, and even worse when it rains.
The toilets, the septic tanks got flooded, and those septics were mixed with water and coming into the tents where people were living. So that was very, very unhealthy and dangerous.
But the Sri Lankan High Commissioner to Australia rejects these claims.
No, that allegation I don't accept.
But an international aid worker who can't be identified because of concerns of a backlash against aid organisations getting access to the camps backs up Gobi's claims.
There was tents filled with up to 30 centimetres of water. Of course, once you've got pit latrines, very dense population of people living in tents, and you've got raw sewage moving around, flowing into the tents, there was a lot of sickness after that.
These photos are supplied by the Tamil Congress, who say conditions will get worse. November is the beginning of the monsoon season. This aid worker says poor sanitation is compounded by a lack of medical facilities. He says doctors are only in the camps between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.
If kids have got a fever during the night, there's no way for the parents to access medical, and there's cases of kids dying of treatable diseases just because of the lack of access to medical facilities.
Once again, the Sri Lankan High Commissioner rejects these charges.
No, I completely reject the allegation. There are no deaths. The mortality rate has come down to much less than the accepted international norms, and there is complete medical attention given.
It's difficult for journalists to verify these kind of claims. The media is rarely allowed into the camps, and when they are, it's under strict supervision. And the controlled access also makes it difficult to test allegations of abductions and rapes coming out of the camps. Gobi says he knows of a case where 5 girls disappeared.
Girls went and they didn't return, so I am sure they would have got raped and then they would have got killed because they don't want stories to come out.
The Sri Lankan government has denied all allegations of rapes and abductions within the camps. Tamil advocates say these sorts of allegations can't be properly investigated until the Sri Lankan government makes public a list of all those interned.
Give the UNHCR access to these people and maintain a register of people who are there and people who are allowed out so that we can substantiate or not these allegations of thousands of people missing.
The Sri Lankan High Commissioner says the government is hoping to get 80% of people out of the camps by the end of the year. He says clearing landmines is what's slowing down the process.
The government has expedited the process of demining, and as soon as the demining is complete, the people will be resettled in their old homes.
But Saradar Nathan says people inside the camps should be allowed back into the areas that have already been freed of mines. And she says unless things improve, we'll see more Sri Lankans arriving here by boat.
I've spoken to some of the people who have come on the boat, and they said they knew they were risking their life, they knew they were risking their future, but they said at least there was hope that they could live. Because in Sri Lanka, at this stage, there is no hope.
Steve Kinane, Lateline.